Barbie has been a very hyped up film by general audiences and people who have gotten behind the Barbie versus Oppenheimer battle, and for weeks now we have seen the cast say that the film is filled with feminist messaging, while studio execs were claiming it's all a big lie. But the truth is now out because there are critics who are saying if you take a tequila shot every time the patriarchy is mentioned, you will die. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. Now, of course, it is Wednesday when I am filming this. The movie is only fully releasing today, and I will be going to see it relatively soon, and I will update you all with my thoughts the next time I talk about this film in the next day or two when we finally have audience scores and we see if general audiences actually really liked it. But we can see that there are quite a few critics who are really enjoying this movie, but not because it's a fun family film. No, most of them are saying they like it because of the messaging it pushes, and you have a lot of critics also coming out saying that it is filled to the brim with woman power, and as this one says, if you take a tequila shot every time the patriarchy is mentioned, you will die. Now, I think we all expected some level of girl power messaging here because it's a Barbie movie and the whole world revolves around this one female character who does have a lot of, classical feminine traits. So I think that we expected to some extent, especially with the fact that Greta Gerwig is the one who wrote and directed this film, and she has done several other feminism-powered films like Lady Bird, for instance, but it seems like they really took it all to the extreme. So, here's the first one. It says, I haven't really seen any actual film critics weighing in on Barbie, which I'm finally set to catch this evening. The review embargo lifts tomorrow afternoon, which this was yesterday, going into today. What I will say is that based on the early Twitter reactions out there and the people I've spoken to, the dreaded woke word will be used plenty of times by detractors in describing Barbie. It's absolutely inevitably going to happen. You can bank on it. And yes, it is a fine word when we are describing a specific type of product, and it seems like this one does fit into that definition. It's quite obvious Mattel and Warner are trying very hard not to have Barbie labeled as a feminist movie, but once this puppy gets released, you can probably expect a firestorm to occur. Yeah, because people really don't want to watch movies with a feminism message pushed into it. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, and there are movies that are, feminism focused that people do still enjoy. Like, look at the first Wonder Woman, right? It was, a comic movie first and foremost, but it definitely had that underlying feminism element to it, but it wasn't overpowering. It didn't ruin the experience, and we all still really enjoyed it. But with a film like this, it seems like they really blew it out of the park. It says that it is a lavish, fresh, and frankly risky take on Mattel's iconic doll that few would have dreamed would actually get the green light, let alone the attention it clearly deserves. There are moments that will likely draw audible gasps as cinema-goers delight in Barbie actually going there. Now, of course, they go on to praise the feminism, saying that this is just such a bold and risky and unique and modern take on Barbie, which I just hate to hear. Modern day feminism isn't about showing women all the things they can do and creating an equal playing field with men, considering most of the playing field they claim women don't have is a lie, but these people perpetuate the lie that equality doesn't exist. Look, there are differences between men and women, lots of them are just biologically driven and those are unchangeable, but to run on the narrative that men are still actively keeping women down is ridiculous. This whole patriarchal argument is not how you create equality, and no, this is about propping women high above the men. That's literally what their aim is and what most of us are against. People are either pretending it's not true or they're too dumb to see it. In the very least, in the West, we live in a time that has the most equal playing field for both men and women to achieve things in society that are amazing, yet they pretend that it's, 45 plus years ago, or they're living in a part of a world where women are seen as second-class citizens, since, yes, those places still exist, but this isn't one of them. A part of people's measurements of success is education, and in college, there's more women who graduate with bachelor's degrees than men, and in biology fields, there's a very high percentage of women, so I don't know what to tell these people that act like we're still in the past. We're not, at least here, so shoving it into a film like Barbie is absolutely pointless. It goes on to talk about Ken. It says Barbie lives in Barbie Land, populated by multiple different Barbies and Kens, and it talks about how the Kens are just, well, Ken. But it turns out our hero Barbie's not-so-great day has caused a tear in the fabric between Barbie Land and the real world. Yeah, that is the story of this, is that it starts off very normal, they're in Barbie world, but then she actually has to go to the real world in order to, I think, save Barbie Land. Again, I have not seen this film. I am going to soon, and I have a feeling I am going to rip into it. But it says that, desperate to please her as he struggles with being more of an accessory than a boyfriend to Barbie, Beach Ken comes along for a ride, which brings me into what Piers Morgan actually said. He said that it is an assault on not just Ken, but all men. It definitely seemed from the trailers that Ken was just going to be a little bit of a side role, right? I mean, Ryan Gosling is an actor who can definitely control a movie if he wanted to, but it seemed like his role was definitely a little bit smaller, a little bit more toned back, and again, the focus should be on Barbie, but at the same time, Ken is very important to her story, and well, it looks like they really decided to give the finger to Ken, who of course just represents men in general in this universe. And there are some critics who are rating it fantastically because they're saying the messaging is great. I mean, an 89% is, it's a pretty solid one. It's got over 132 reviews right now. But there's not really a lot of people sitting here saying that it is good just because it is good. Phenomenal film. All of the cast knocked this one out of the park, creating an instant classic, a fantastic positive take on feminism that also works as entertainment. Does it really, though? Grace Randolph, I mean, she said that this is the best movie ever created, and it is filled to the brim with feminism. She said that it is a feminist fantasy as well. I do not like Grace Randolph. I would not trust her, and if she is praising this movie because of feminism, that must mean it's really bad. Satire gets diluted in an uneven second act, and perhaps insecurely, the third act concludes in a series of speeches and dramatic scenes that reiterate the points already made more organically and intelligently. Greta models her guiding ethos in her art, utilizing the imperfect vessel of popular branded entertainment to create a splashy spectacle inquiring about gender and grace. I was really hoping that this movie was at least going to be that, a movie. It wasn't going to be, filled to the brim with messaging. It was at least going to be enjoyable, entertaining, mostly light-hearted, and I can deal with a few quips here and there in a film. It doesn't completely ruin the experience for me, but it seems like Barbie is what most of us expected it to be, which is a giant feminism-filled mess, and there are some critics who are absolutely loving it. There are some individuals who are saying this is going to be the worst movie to release this year, and I definitely think that once the user scores go up, we are going to see a very divisive score. I think that there are going to be a lot of people praising it and a lot of people trashing it. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.